Welcome to another edition of Action 14. I'm Mike Briggs, bringing you information from the city, from the school, and certainly from the arts. I start things out with Mayor Pullman. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Mike. It's always a pleasure to be here with our TV 14 viewers and especially you, and nice to see you back in the saddle.
That's right.
And doing fine,
Yes.
So congratulations.
I should congratulate you on getting reelected.
Thank you.
There was nobody else on the other line, so you really didn't have a whole lot of competition.
Well, I don't know if that's good or bad, but certainly it's appreciated that the citizens came out to support the activities that we're doing in the city, and moving forward. 2024 is going to be a historic year for many reasons.
Yeah, we'll be going into that.
And I think it takes years sometimes to put things together, and you have to develop a lot of patience in public office, whether it's being mayor or alderman or school board. Things just move slow.
Yep.
And to get all the ducks lined up is quite a feat, but we're getting there.
Now, we have one new person on the council.
Yes, yep, we have one incumbent who was not reelected, and in his district, John Binder won the election. I met with him a couple times and go through some of the ropes of that process, and he'll be installed as a new alderperson, and look forward to a little new activity in life on the council.
Okay. We should mention, first of all, that we've had a fantastic winter, if it is for saving money on the city, that's for sure.
Oh,
I believe we needed more snow. I know we're a little dry. I feel sorry for the farmers. But let's get right back to the city again. Boy, it has benefited the city out of this world, the money you've saved this year.
Unbelievable. The savings will go a long way. We're already looking at reallocating some of the dollars that would have been spent transportation-wise, labor-wise, on other areas in the city. We have a couple extensions on road contracts that we're looking at, seeing if we can add a few more 100 feet here and 100 feet there to add to the project that's already bid out. And what that'll cost us, we want to use those dollars for infrastructure. And it's always important to try and grab as much as you can, solving the problems that are continuous. Doesn't matter where they are, and we can use it to avoid some of those down the road, then it's a win-win for us.
Yes, the amount of overtime this winter had to be a quarter of what it used to be. It usually is, because I did not, maybe 3 times someone came through and plowed at all.
Yeah, we did a little bit more salting early on, but the temperature was there, no snow, knock on wood, not even for opening day of Brewer game, you know.
Yeah.
So we were very fortunate, and that takes a lot of dollars in the labor pool and lets us put it to work. So we're very pleased.
That and fuel, and you know, think about the savings there.
It's across the board, and that's critical when we're trying to price conscious everything that we do. It's terrible, but true.
Well, let's talk about some other very positive things happening in the city of Plymouth, because it's going to be a very positive year. The funds available from the closing of TID 4, that's the Aurora and Sartori TIF, is going to bring some real dollars back to the city.
It will. We've been very fortunate. The TIF 4, $140 million will come onto the tax roll. That means that it'll change the mill rate, and we will all benefit from that. And a mill rate is what determines your property tax. So we'll all see a benefit of that. It's spread across, of course, commercial, industrial, and residential. The opportunity that gives us on closing TIF 4, and there's a couple steps in doing that. April and May will be the official closure, and that, for the first time in 14 years, it now gives us cap room in order to open a new TIF. And I can tell you that we've been planning for 5-6 years for this closure to happen, to reap the benefits of coming under the cap. Cap is 12% assessment. We were actually at 18. We had no hope in doing anything. And it kept us out of the game when we're talking to potential suitors to come into the community, whether it's commercial, industrial, housing. We had no way to compete incentive-wise, and this now will put us down someplace around 3%.
Yeah.
So it's a huge, huge opportunity for us. So we've been talking, and we're looking at 2 TIFs for sure. Could be a third one depending on a development that we've been talking about. So we're really excited that 24 will give us an opportunity to use. Last year we did 2 studies to see what infrastructure costs would be, because when we create these TIFs, tax incentive districts, we have to pay for infrastructure. Well, how do we pay for that? Well, this is where the development comes into play. And those studies one is in, another one will be in later next month. We'll use those for a guide for how we are going to incentivize development. And we've taken a very conservative approach for many years. And what that means is we will pay as we go. So as development occurs, we will issue incentives along the way, and that will give us the cushion for continued growth in this city. And we need housing terribly bad.
Yes.
We are definitely looking at different types of housing, and the year extension that we did on TIF 4, it actually gave us a $2.3 million approximate cushion funding that we can use toward supplementing the process between builders, owners, and banks. And it's a really neat little package to have. Nobody else has had this package ever. So it was a one-time thing. We took advantage of it with the state law, and I think that we will reap the benefits of that for the next 10 or 20 years.
Yeah, you've been doing a lot of studies about the growth of Plymouth, and housing is one thing that has held Plymouth back. We just haven't been able to grow because there's not, I use the word affordable housing.
Yep.
For workers, for people who want to bring Plymouth up.
Oh, and we're talking single-family apartment, multifamily. It's something we even changed our ordinance and created a new housing ordinance that will allow us to have more condensed housing, which you see other places in the county where you have more building in a defined area. This is something that will give us that housing that you're talking about and incentivize the, I'm going to say 150 to 300,000 range. That's a tremendous, tremendous range to be in the game and offer to potential suitors. So we're very excited. This will all happen in '24. The school system will get a check because we have excess funds. The county will get a check. LTC will get a small check. And of course, the city will get a check because we share the revenue equally based on pro rata. So it's a windfall that we get to use, no restrictions on it.
Once in a lifetime,
Oh,
if you will.
Yeah, you will not see that. Certainly, I will not see that. and I'm very pleased that we were able to engineer it and take advantage of it.
And very briefly, the city has their eyes on the southwest side of Plymouth, and they have some okay to move ahead there.
We do. We have some development agreements in place, and the southwest side of the city, we've got 67 acres that the city already has under contract. That's prime development territory, and of course there's several other vacant land sites within the city already. Being able to fund those infrastructures with development is the key to growing our population. And a long time ago, when I first became mayor, Clark Weinke was the superintendent at the time. And of course, we know each other, we're good friends. And I said, Clark, I said, what's your number one wish? And he said, he says, I don't want anything. I says, there must be something on your list. And he said, children. I need children. And I said, where am I supposed to get children? He says, that's your problem. So I've been working on that problem forever because you can't get the children if you don't have the jobs, and if you don't have the families, and if you don't have the opportunity for growing. We're finally there after all this time, and it's going to be a banner year. I can see a city bond utility issue easily in the $8 to $10 million range, and that's going to fund a whole lot of opportunity. We're structured for it. We have no short-term debt. Just last month, the council agreed to pay off 225 notes in '24. So that leaves us basically with gates wide open to do everything that we have been trying to lay the groundwork on for 7-8 years.
But the TID law is very complicated in Wisconsin, though, so it's going to be a lot of work on your staff.
Oh, the staff has done yeoman's work. They really have been put to the test. They put their nose to the grindstone, and without their due diligence on how to arrange this, and with our consultants, I can't say enough for our management team because they've really gone dug into things thoroughly in order to figure out the timing on all of this, and it's a big job, but they've done a good job.
One of the other items that we do need, though, is we still have some empty buildings in downtown Plymouth, and hopefully in and around downtown Plymouth, and hopefully we can fill some of those too then.
We will. We're looking at, as I said, TIF incentives to help further some of that development. And of course, the redevelopment of areas of the city that have been lacking for a long time. The old Kmart property, been empty
Yes.
forever.
Yes.
We're looking into redevelopment authority on
Okay,
that.
okay.
So there's enough incentives that we can put into the package and possibly grow on a very structured but pay-as-you-go way.
You still have to follow some specific rules that the city will allow to happen, no.
Correct,
We're
yeah.
not gonna break rules to make growth.
No, we're under state and guidelines and TIF guidelines to do that, trying to kind of like tap dance through all of those things is very difficult, but we have a game plan in place, and I do believe that we're gonna see a lot of activity, so better strap on because it's coming.
Well, the next 2 years are going to be very,
Oh.
very busy.
Yeah, very busy.
We
yeah.
hope.
1 year for engineering, 1 year for development. I can see it happening, absolutely, yeah.
Now, other positive things happening in the city. It made the paper about some purchasing of buildings in downtown Plymouth. And I am so pleased of what I read in the newspaper, and the city has to be pleased also.
Very excited for the purchase of the Black Corner.
Yeah.
Very exciting. We obviously were part of that indirectly, and the potential for that being developed in a elegant way, I think says a lot for the community and our investment partners, so that we will reap benefits from that and expand on that along the River Walk,
Sure.
down to Meyer Park and so on. So there's a lot of doors that open up with that kind of investment, private investment, and we will be partnering with many investors in the process.
Yes, it's the old Rexall building. I certainly remember taking my kids there for a malt.
Oh, for the fountain, sure, yeah.
The old days of having a fountain was unbelievable, wasn't it? And there was a grocery store at one time as part of that.
Yeah.
And of course, what we now call 52 Stafford, that has been changed many, many times over the years, but it's very special to Plymouth.
It is, and I read someplace where it was the longest hotel open to the public in the state's history.
Okay.
I don't know all the
Yeah,
parts of that.
When I
but
first came here, there were people who lived there,
yeah,
who lived upstairs there, and shared a bath, et cetera, et cetera. And then it got remodeled more than once.
yep.
And there used to be 2 bars in the
Oh,
52
yes,
Stafford.
there were. Yeah,
One up front,
front
one in the
bar and the
back.
side.
Yeah, and you see, I remember a few of these things.
The one on the side was the short one with the short chairs.
Yeah, yeah. But having remembered so many memories of both Adams Rexall and what now is called 52 Stafford.
Stafford, right.
I'm so pleased that the possibility of restoring it,
In a historic way.
yes, that we can all be pleased of downtown Plymouth.
And 52 Stafford is already on the National Registry.
Yes.
So that will obviously benefit the investment in that. And the same with the Black Corner. That will be that's in the historic district, as is probably 90% of downtown Plymouth
Certainly.
and we did that about 7-8 years ago. all of this setting the stage for what we hope to be the development to come. And it will happen. I'm confident of that.
And let's, to wrap things up, let's talk about some things coming up yet, because the parades are coming. We now in Plymouth have more parades than any other little town in the state. And the first parade obviously is the
Cheese.
Well, that's the first one in the city, but I mean,
Right.
the school will be marching through
Right.
there.
We
for
have the Memorial Day.
So we'll have the Memorial Day parade on the 27th of May.
Correct.
But then 2 weeks after that, we do have the Cheese Capital Parade.
The Cheese Capital Parade.
And that parade has changed over the
Oh,
was it big last year?
It was absolutely huge, and the cheese theme, I think, is going to set that apart from anything else anywhere. I mean, it is going to be big.
Yeah. Historically, there used to be a Cheese Capital parade. Historically, many years ago, but now 3 years ago now it's been, or 2 years ago?
2 years ago it came back.
It's back.
Yeah, because it was like 26-year absence or something. So.
And then there'll be music downtown again.
Oh.
And it was very, very nice last year.
It's a 2-day affair. A Friday is Saturday, and it's family centered.
Yes.
So everything, and of course the Lion Stair Park is a centerpiece of all that. So we're looking to capitalize on all of the opportunity that downtown presents it. So it's going to, we won't do much ripping apart on the river this year.
No.
So we'll have one more year before we start ripping it apart on the west side of Stafford. But that will be a huge improvement for the river walk, and it's used all the time. It's only going to get better, and we're very pleased that all of our downtown commercial establishments are all participating in that. So there's a lot of buy-in to accommodate all of the planning that's being done. So we're very, very appreciative of all that.
And I do want to say before we go that we had a fantastic maple gathering this year. Fantastic.
That was terrific. Yeah.
It was beautiful weather for it in downtown Plymouth,
Big crowd.
Oh yeah, there's 3 tents up, and I had to stand there and watch the owl presentation, and then someone with a chainsaw building a wood owl.
Yep.
And then they were boiling down maple syrup, and then you had a christening of the ground, if you will, for when we will have our own activity.
Our sugar shack.
Yeah.
Yep. And that will be constructed this summer, so that certainly the shanty will be available next year, and it's on the over near the railroad tracks at City Park.
Fantastic. So we've already had a couple very nice things in the early spring, and we hit the weather just about okay for it, and so we're ready for spring and summer.
I think we should send a thank you card to the weather person, man, woman, whoever it is, and don't get them upset. Let's keep this going for another 4 or 5 months at least.
Yeah. Well, I want to thank you for being on. I should remind everybody that the city council is the second and last Tuesday of every month. The second and last Tuesday of every month, 7 p.m. down at City Hall.
Yep, come down, tell us what's on your mind.
That's right. Thank you again for
You're
being
welcome.
with us. When we come back, I'll be talking with the arts, I'll be talking about the schools, so stay right with us. You're watching Action 14. Welcome back to Action 14. As promised, I have Dan Mella here, Superintendent of the Plymouth School District. Welcome to the show.
Nice to be back, Mike.
It's great to be back.
Yeah. You're looking better than ever, I might say.
Well, thank you. Yes, I've had a little bit of back surgery, spine surgery, and I'm better. It's glad to be back and
Good.
moving forward.
Good.
things to talk about, though, it's district budget processing. People need to understand that the district budget runs end of July, all right, from August 1st to July 31st. And you've got to really work at getting things planned on money that you don't even have yet. And you don't know
Right.
exactly how much you're getting.
Right. It's confusing for people that work in the private sector
Yeah.
to try to understand how budgets are built and how projections are made based on formulas that are fairly accurate, but not always accurate. The primary inputs of money that come from the state and from local taxpayers are based on your enrollment.
Right.
And so those things go up and down on an annual basis, and people move in, they move out, and you're never quite sure what it's going to be. So there is a lot of projecting what you believe is going to be the case. And then, almost on an annual basis, the state will throw you a few different curveballs about the total amount per pupil. They'll throw you curveballs about aid for things like special education, things like computer and technology, things like library media. Every year there are those kinds of things that come in that are either higher or lower than you might think.
Right.
And then there are grants. The district does a really good job of writing grants. Jamie Poinkowski helps out in almost all of our grants that we write in the district. And so that adds money, but then sometimes that subtracts from the total pool because there's a revenue limit that you can
Right.
actually bring in. So it's a very convoluted process. But you're right. Maybe the most odd thing is that it goes from June 30th to July 1.
Right.
And most people go from January 1st to January 1st.
Right,
That's
right.
typically, and so things like our insurances are in some cases based on the normal annual budget cycle, but yet the school annual budget cycle is the summertime one. So yeah, we're in that process, and we have a bit of a decline in enrollment
Right.
from last year that will impact the district budget this year. And so we're working through that process with the school board, and at the same time then 80% of the district's costs are in personnel. Teaching and learning is a person type of business. And so we're not building widgets, we
Right.
have people. And so that's what the costs are. And so we increase, decrease based on what we're receiving from those revenue sources.
And we also have, this year, for the very first time ever possibly, there'll be some money coming from the city. They're getting TIF 4, TID 4 is settling, and so there'll be some money coming from the city that we weren't expecting,
Right.
which I think is a positive thing, as long as it doesn't change a cap that we're dealing with.
Right, and there's different ways that you have to account for those things, but you don't want to build a long-term budget based on one-time funds.
Right.
And I've seen projections for this district coming in to the school district at about 800,000, maybe to about 1.2 million, but those are one-time dollars, and so if 80% of our expenses are ongoing in personnel costs, we want to direct those types of funds to things that are more capital types
Yep.
of things, such as we're doing the roof at Fairview this year,
Adding some cold air to this building.
cold air to this building, a number of different things that are happening, and we do that every year. We'll talk about facilities maybe later, but so those TIF district funds can be used more for those, which does help because that offsets some of the funds that we otherwise would have had to put towards those from the normal state sources. But again, you don't want to rely on those for a long-term solution to things. Ultimately, that is based on the formulas through the state.
It's going to be an interesting spring anyway, but the spring sports are going at it right now. We've had track meets, we've had tennis meets. There's a doubleheader girls softball tonight. There's a track meet next week.
Right.
It's happening. We're there.
spring sports are always this way. We had that stretch in February this year where it was warm and we were thinking, oh, great, we're not going to have the normal delays and weather-related problems. Well, then all of a sudden we had snow and bad weather, and of course we're behind. And then all of a sudden you get a good burst of weather again, and it's double headers. It's meets every night. We've got the golf teams over west of and over towards Berlin. The the tennis teams down in Madison. Track is over in Berlin as well. I mean, people are everywhere, and yeah, the softball team's got a doubleheader tonight. And I was told to mention that the softball team is 7-1, which we believe is the first time we've been 7-1 in about 16 years or 12 years or so. It's been a while since we had this good of a start. I was told to mention that to the audience.
Okay, Gail, well, we mentioned it.
Yeah.
But no, they are having a good start of the year. Plus, everybody's having fun outside. And I think one thing our viewers should know is that we do have probably the most students active right now because of spring sports. Because there are so many spring sports, and we have people in everything.
Right. I mean, a lot of schools that have golf don't have JV golf. We have JV golf.
Absolutely.
But we also have other kids who are golfing along with the JVs to, they're trying to build their skills. We have a lot of kids golfing. We have a lot. And then you've got track, which is a big number, and tennis, which is a big number, and
softball and baseball now, both in the spring.
Right.
So yeah, there's a lot of students that are active, and that makes for a very good spring.
It does. It does. And moms and dads and grandmas and grandpas are up in the bleachers. And again, thanks to the community and Sargento and Masters and Bank First for the turf field and other donors as well. Don't want to leave people out, but the soccer team is able to play every single game.
That's right.
Unless we would have lightning, but and that used to not be the case. And so they're up there, and we used to have to figure something out about there's no fencing around, so a ball that gets booted way off the side gets under those bleachers on the side.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about we could have a Plymouth dog, like a soccer ball retrieval dog.
Oh.
Wouldn't that be kind of cool? Like those dogs that catch the frisbees at games.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be kind of nice.
Now, one of the things, though, that is a bit of a problem now in the bleachers on the football field is that the bleachers are a little messy because of some birds in the light poles, and it is kind of neat.
Yeah.
So tell us about the light pole and the birds that we have up there.
So we have ospreys that have been nesting in the southwest light standard for about 6-7 years now. On an annual basis, they've reared a batch of young every single year, and the problem is that their droppings and the nest, the droppings are real acidic, and so we actually had some electrical problems in the light standard that they were nesting in regularly because wind action moves the standard, and those sticks and everything rip out electrical lines, and there's just issues with it. So we wanted to figure out if there was a way to keep them from nesting there, because we put a nesting platform right above the pond down to the east of the field. But they don't like that as well because it's lower, I think, than those light standards.
Yeah.
So we brought a crane in this year, right away in the beginning of spring, and they put up they took the old nest down from that original light standard, and we were testing a new osprey deterrent system on top of that light standard. Well, it worked. So on that light standard, the ospreys are no longer nesting, but they moved one over, which is right above the press box.
Yes, and now you know what I'm talking about then. The press box and the bleachers there are now getting hit.
Right, and it's not just with ospreys, because they eat snakes and fish for the most part. And so they've got the droppings are falling on the bleachers and on the press box on the roof. So when you're up there for football season, I don't know what's going to happen next year. But in the bleachers, there are snake parts and fish parts, and they used to be falling on the grass for the most part.
Yeah.
So we're going to have to do something about that.
Yeah, it's all part of it. And the thing is, the bird, you don't want to really lose the bird.
No, they're awesome.
We just like to find a different place for it to nest.
All right, we just want to encourage them to go to the pond is beautiful, and that osprey platform will be a great place for them. We just we want them to relocate. Encourage them to relocate.
And they aren't taking your hint.
No.
But we should talk a little bit more about, one of the things that came up at the last school board meeting is the enrollment issue. And we have had a drop in enrollment.
Right.
And because you get the money coming to Plymouth is by the number that you have signed in. And so we're actually struggling a little bit with a lot of things because the numbers are down.
Right. And so we'll probably have some discussions about this at the board level, and strategizing about what the school's side of things are and can be with enrollment. But there are larger issues at play here, and anybody that is in the market to buy a house knows one of the major issues is there is an extreme shortage of housing, and the housing that is available is beyond the means of most people earning what I would consider at least
starter homes.
A normal starter home type of thing where the young family can move in that have children. And so that's something that our city needs to address, and I've met with them, and there's a committee about housing at the city level. I've met with them and given my testimony about that. But I think maybe some of the larger business community and just everybody in town, if we want to have a nice, broad demographic of ages and people and lifestyles and those types of things in this community, we're going to have places for people to live. And you don't want to have all one side of anything. So you don't want all rentals, but you don't want all $1 million mansions either, because you're not going to have a broad and kind of diverse, fun community.
I think there is some possibility that in the next couple of years that the city of Plymouth may grow on the southwest side of Plymouth. They already have some land that they can put housing on out there. And I'm hoping that some of the funds coming in from the TIF4 will move things along, that we can have some housing or some places so a new family home is available.
Right. If you go on Zillow or myrealtor.com and just take a look at the school district, the rural part and the town part of Plymouth, on the average there'll be 2 or 3 homes even available.
Right.
And most of the time they're not within reach of what I would consider a regular family income.
Right.
So lots of issues to solve there, because Plymouth is a great place. We want to keep it a great place, but it has to have people living in it that it needs children.
That's right.
A town needs kids.
Yep.
You need everybody, but you need kids. Otherwise, it just kind of grows old and dies.
Yeah. Now, we do have some facility projects coming. One is going to be put off, though. The Horizon change to entrance is going to be put off for a little while.
Right. As we were going through the process of adjusting the entryway, which is the upstairs entryway by the office, to more reflect what's at Fairview and Parkview. During that process, once we were into it in the middle of winter, our bids were coming back, and we weren't getting really good numbers on that because people had jobs already and other reasons. And so we just decided we'll put it off until next year, and in the fall of this year, we'll actually go back out and get bids going again. And by then, according to our consultant architect, we should be in a better position to have a better price for that one. So that would be beginning the summer of '25. But otherwise, here at the high school facility, there's going to be the chiller project, which is going to be happening soon. And then the other biggest project is the roof at Fairview. And so that part on the old, not the new part, but the old part,
Yep.
it needs some repairs, and it's actually one where we're going to strip off quite a bit of the roof and put down some new underlayment and new roofing material, so get it back to more like a new quality of roofing.
Yep.
So, and every year there are pieces and parts that need to be replaced.
done.
It's just like everybody's house.
Yep.
And so we're just keeping up on those things.
Let's wrap things up by talking about the fact that we're almost in scholarship season. Students
Yep.
have picked and been accepted at their schools for next fall, colleges, et cetera, and there'll be some scholarship happening very
Yes.
shortly.
And I would just like to do a shout out to all of our local community members who have individual scholarships or family scholarships that are given to the students every year, and then our local scholarships that the Plymouth Education Foundation manages for people in town. In the end, I don't know what this number is going to be this year, but we're always in the nearly or above $2 million worth of scholarships awarded every year. And again, the Plymouth Education Foundation is a primary mover in making sure those things happen and kids have a better opportunity not to leave college with enormous debt.
There you go. Well, I want to thank you for being with us tonight. I'm glad we're back at it.
I'm glad you're back at it.
Giving information to the community and the city about what's happening in the Plymouth School District. Thank you.
Yep, you're welcome.
When we come back, I'm going to be talking about arts, so stay right with us. You're watching Action 14. Welcome back to Action 14. As promised, we're going to be talking about the arts, and it's the youth theater company is what we're going to be talking about mainly, the story, surfing. And I've got with me Sarah Grebe. Welcome to the show.
Hi.
It's the youth theater company has been going on for many, many years.
Yes.
And we have some specific people that should be thanked about that, because there's been people that are still with it that started it and been working with it for many years.
Right, yeah. So the Youth Theater Company was started by Tim and Patty Talon.
Yep.
And they are still going strong. They're still putting on these shows.
In fact,
and
she is the director of this.
Yes.
so,
Patty is the director.
Patty's going to be part of this, and Tim is going to be in the band.
Yeah, Tim is in the show, actually on stage acting, and then he also does a bunch of instrumental stuff as well.
This is happening May 10th through the 12th. There's 2 evening shows and then 1 matinee on Mother's Day.
Yeah.
It's going to be a fantastic weekend.
Yeah, the show is great, and it's like really family friendly. There's all sorts of singing and dancing, so even younger children will be entertained because there's so much going on. And we even have a special Mother's Day tribute piece.
Yeah, the story surfing is music and stories from across the globe. So there's going to be stories, there's going to be songs, there's going to be dance, there's going to be different music.
Yeah.
It's going to be a mixture of many different things, I was told.
Yeah, we have, there's some Aesop's fables, some of those old stories with, the moral. Then there's some other stories that are set in different parts of the world. Some are kind of funny, some are a little bit more serious. There's folk tales. There's just all sorts of stuff. And then there are a couple pieces that are just instrumental
Okay.
music pieces.
Well, and what I got kind of a kick out of is the fact that the band that you have is made up of some pretty special people.
Yeah, we have some really, really talented artists, and actually Keith Obler wrote the Mother's Day tribute song
Yep,
that we
it's
have.
actually going to be a song never sung and heard before is going to happen on
Yeah.
these shows.
Yeah, my daughter who's in the show kept asking me to ask Alexa to play it, and I was like, Alexa can't. This is
it's not
just
there.
for this.
Yeah, it's just not there. And Keith Obler has been playing music for 60, 70 years now,
Yeah.
and he always does a nice
Yeah,
job.
he is very talented. He was actually in last year's production on stage,
Okay.
and this year he's helping out with the music.
Oh, good. But now it starts out Friday night at 7, Saturday night at 7, then Sunday at 2. Mother's Day
Yes.
Sunday at 2. $10.
Yeah.
$10. I mean, if you've ever been to a show, I'm just talking
Right.
New York City show.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, add another zero and double it.
Yeah.
You
I mean,
know?
it's even, I think you pay almost that much, if not the same amount, when you go to like a show here at the high school.
Oh, certainly.
It's a great show, and it's supporting, the local arts, because the Plymouth Arts Center isn't just where this show is happening. They have so many other things that they support.
Yes.
So, that ticket doesn't just support YTC, the youth theater company. It's all of these programs that they offer.
Yeah, it's a fantastic way to support the community,
Yes.
actually, because I don't know of another city the size of Plymouth that has an art.
Right. Yeah.
An art building,
Yeah.
and to have activities going on weekly, nightly, all year round.
Right. Plymouth is blessed that we have such a culture of the arts.
Yes.
I've talked to people who have moved here, and they talk about, Riverview has a musical and the high school has a musical and all of the bands, and they're like, we didn't have anything like that growing up.
Right.
I said, it's just amazing what we have.
And we should mention that many of the people in this show, you're going to recognize them. I read it off and I'm going, well, okay, I had this student, I had that student, I had that student. But you've got a group of adults
Yes.
that are many local, and then you have the young crew also that are local.
Yeah.
It is a Plymouth show for
It
Plymouth
is.
people.
It is. And there's people, there's some of us who used to do the shows with Tim and Patty when we were in high school.
Yeah.
And now we're doing these shows with our children. It's a great family, centered event.
And you have a couple different ways to purchase tickets. You can go online, PlymouthArts.org, PlymouthArts.org, www.PlymouthArts.org.
Yeah.
920-892-8409. But my advice is to stop down there.
Yeah.
Because there's always a show going on, an art show.
Yes, there's exhibits.
Paintings and exhibits. And in fact, there's one going to be opening up very shortly now. Very shortly is coming out. The Spring Art Tour is coming also in June. There's so many, the kids of Wisconsin are coming here in July. We've already got the Jazz Crawl date all
Yep.
set up. That's August 9th. There's so many things. Mill Street Live is going to be happening, 9 shows
Yeah,
starting
there's all
June
sorts of stuff.
21st. There's so many things that happen at the Arts Center. And for $10 to go see a show
Exactly.
that is so much fun.
Exactly. And with it being at 7 o'clock, it's, you can go get dinner and then, come over to the show. And because Plymouth is so great, you could park and walk to dinner and come
That's
back.
right.
Like, it's
That's
all
right.
right here. You don't have to
Yeah.
go too far.
We have it's part of a beautiful downtown.
Yes.
We're so blessed to have an arts center. We're so blessed to have different facilities in downtown Plymouth that you can go to.
Exactly.
Yeah. Now you have a daughter that's going to be in the show,
Yeah.
and so you'll be there at least one of those nights.
Well, I'm in the show.
Yeah.
So I'll be there at least.
Every night.
I'll be there every night.
Only 3 nights.
Only-
Only
yes.
2 nights and 1 afternoon.
Yes.
Now
Yes.
you're already practicing,
Oh, yeah.
so it's coming together.
It is coming together really, really nicely. It's one of the challenges when you have such a generational cast where you have, people who are old enough to be my grandma.
That's right.
And people who are, second graders. So it's just a different kind of way to work, because when you've got such young kids, you can't just, keep them at rehearsal forever. And
Right.
Patty is so great with them, and the kids are just rising to the occasion too. They're so excited and into it. It's just fantastic.
And what's really neat is that you go to a show at another city, et cetera, and you pay so much more to go to a show, and you hope you recognize a name or two.
Oh, yeah.
But here, you know almost everybody. Or if you don't know them, I know his dad.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
know his uncle. That kind of
Exactly.
story about people in Plymouth entertaining the people of Plymouth.
Yeah.
Isn't
yeah.
that fun?
And it's a nice way to, make those connections. There's, a lot of people that come and they have the 4-H connections, or, you know, I see people where I'm like, oh, I remember you from high school, and now I'm a teacher, so I have my students come in and see. It's
Yeah.
just great, all of these connections.
And it's, again, I want to tell you before we go that it's May 10th, 11th, and 12th, Friday and Saturday at 7 p.m., and then Sunday at 2 p.m. There'll be a special song written by Keith Obler for Mother's Day in the show.
Yep.
And it's $10 for adults and $5 for kids. It's going to be such a fun time.
Yeah, it's a fantastic show.
And you're looking forward to it.
I
too,
am.
You see, that's what I've noticed too, and I've had people come in and talk about a show down at the Arts Center, is that it's fun.
Yeah.
You do it as an entertainment for yourself.
Right,
know-
right. It's a thing like, you know, I loved theater, and when this opportunity became available as an adult, it's like, all right, how am I going to make this work? Because I enjoyed working with Tim and Patty years ago, and
Yeah.
you know, wanted to come back.
Not a bit different than you play an instrument and you're able to be in the city band.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's no different than a person liking to golf and get together with guys and talk golf, maybe.
Exactly, yeah.
Here you talk about putting on a show
Yeah.
together.
And you get on the stage.
Yeah. Well, I want to wish you the best of luck.
Well, thank you.
And have fun. That's the main thing. Have fun
Yeah.
on the 10th, 11th, and 12th. 3 shows. You have choices to go. The tickets will sell.
Yes.
And so make sure you call now. Either call 920-892-8409 or stop down. There's always something there. You've got to, and buy a gift.
Yeah,
The gift
right.
store is unbelievable there.
And that's all, you know, artisan made stuff too.
Yes.
It's not something you could pick up at Walmart.
Or stop down, yes, and buy your ticket downtown Plymouth. The Arts Center is always there for you, and it's always there for us.
Yes.
That's
exactly.
the thing. Well, thanks again. Good luck.
Yeah, thank you.
Have fun and make sure that we all enjoy it, okay?
Oh yeah, for sure.
And
It'll be
I'll-
a great show.
And I also want to thank you for being with us on Action 14. Until I see you next time, be talking on the radio. Bye-bye.